everybody, I'm Tom Vassell.
I'm Z Garcia.
Today we're taking a look at the two newest factions for Summoner Wars, Chosen Grove and The Filth.
Ooh.
This is for the newest edition of Summoner Wars, the second edition. The first edition had The Filth. They brought them back. Chosen Grove is something new. A bunch of people who live in trees or something.
No,
They're
it's
led by a
nature.
tree.
They're led by a tree.
But
the
I think
grandpapa of trees.
I think the trees have infected them and it's coming out of their bodies and stuff.
Fair.
I don't know. Anyway, here's a little bit about both factions. The leader of the Chosen Grove, the summoner here, is a giant tree, basically. And he's kind of cool. He has 20 hit points and 4 attack. However, until your draw pile is empty, he can't move and he's -1 strength. But you can summon stuff next to him. And then after you do that, you can move a boost from the unit to the summon unit. All right, so you want to run through your draw deck as much as possible. But there's some other units that will work with that, and there's some events. I'm going to take a look at the events first here, because this Vigor of Summer lets me boost any unit, which is useful because I can do that. And my summoner friendly units within 3 spaces have +1 strength when they're boosted. There's a Shroud of Autumn here, which lets you boost a friendly unit, then target other friendly boosted units and put them next to your summoner. And they can't be forced. And then the Bloom of Spring here, which lets you boost or remove 1 damage from each friendly unit within 2 spaces of your summoner. So this is all about boosting. You're going to do a lot of boosting, but you also, even though your tree can't move, you have this. And this is one of those times where I'm like, you need to tell your opponent this is in your deck. Because you pick a non-summoner card that's next to your summoner, they take 5 damage. And then for 1 turn here, your summoner is not rooted, it can move. It's slow, it can only move 1 space. Whew. Well, remember all those cool season cards? There is a champion who can pull, after you summon him, you can pull 1 of each of those from your discard pile and put them back in your hand. And he can get +1 strength for each boost he has. So if you boost him up, you're doing really well. This guy starts with 2 boosts, and you need to keep boosting him, or you add 1 damage. Anytime someone is attacked, a friendly unit that's near him, if they're attacked by an enemy unit, you spend a boost. If you do, you add 1 damage to the attacking unit. So he can kind of, someone else hits someone, he hits them on top of that. This guy's the one I was about to talk about, the bear tree or whatever it is. This one, you boost it, but at the end of your turn, you spend a boost. And if you can't, you put him on the bottom of your deck. He's a really powerful attack, low hit points, 5 hit points, but 4 attack. So you just need to keep those boosts on him. Boosting is mostly going to be done from your seed bearers, who, when they attack someone, you boost someone within 3 spaces. You can pull people in with your vines. This guy here, he just protects. You have to hit him before you hit someone else, and he can force the enemy. This guy's +1 strength, 1 boost it, and when it's destroyed, boosts your summoner. Remember, your summoner can shoot boosts to other people. And then this guy who can just move really fast. They can move an extra space, and after they attack, you can spend a boost to throw them back by your summoner, which is okay, but I like using the boost on the other people better. Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas. It's red and green colors here for the filth. All right. Anytime any friendly unit within 3 spaces of this guy is destroyed, you boost it. By the way, this guy has a 4 range attack. Low health, but oh my word. You can spend 3 boosts to pull a mutant guy back. And there's lots of mutants in this game. But before we get to the mutants, let's take a look at these cultists. They're all free to play. When this is destroyed, your opponent gets a magic. When this is destroyed, you boost your summoner. And when this is destroyed, you draw a card. So this guy seems to be the worst, the Forsaken one, but he has 4 hit points as opposed to the other guys having 2. Now, why would you want to do all that? Well, you have Shield of the Hopeful. When a friendly 0 cost is being attacked, you add 1 damage to it for own magic instead of swords or that. You can keep your cultists alive. Here I can pull a mutant back from the draw pile and add it to my hand. And I can summon a mutant card, reducing its cost by 1. Boost my summoner. When a unit's destroyed, I can force my summoner 1 spot. And enemy commands and champions cannot move next to my summoner or attack while adjacent to it. They're just too afraid. All right, I've talked enough about these mutants. Let's take a look. Here we go. The Spew mutant here. You can destroy somebody. You have to destroy someone to bring this person out, so a cultist turns into it. And when they move, everyone near them takes damage. And there are 3 ranged. This one, you also have to destroy a cultist. These guys are going to die all over the place. But when they're destroyed, they take 1 damage to all the enemy cards next to them. So run them up and hit them. Anyway, these are all going to basically have that same mutate thing. When they have 2 or less damage, adjacent enemy units get -1 strength. The winged mutant can go faster and through cards. The tentacle mutant can attack cards that are diagonal to it or that are 2 spaces away. When the bestial mutant, this guy's a champion here, when he attacks and destroys an enemy unit, your summoner gets +2 boost. And it says friendly 0-cost units within 2 spaces get +1 strength. Now, a lot of this revolves around the Abomination card. They're the best unit in this deck here because they can choose a mutant card in your hand and put it underneath it, and then 1 damage comes off this unit, and they're +1 strength for each mutant unit under it and has all the base abilities. So this one could be an Incanter Bestial Tentacle creature and have all these abilities and be really powerful. So you want to get the Abomination out as quickly as you can. Also, both factions included a rules update, which I didn't even mention in the overview because it doesn't matter. Basically, they got rid of the draw phase from the game. Instead, you just draw 5 cards at the end of your turn, and it's the same thing. It only matters for tournament level people.
It's a weird rules update. They're like, oh, the draw step no longer exists. It only affects a few cards. I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah, it's just, again, I also don't understand this idea of putting rules update in the 2 newest. I guess they assume every summoner person buys every faction.
Everybody who cares about the small updates does, right? I suppose. You can get them online, too. The latest rules.
The other rule that matters more is for the Filth deck. There's a new rule that you can only have 1 of each limited card, which is mostly just to stop you from sticking 4 of the same mutant that are commons in your deck.
Yeah, because the Filth has something very interesting where it almost created a new category between commons and champions.
Yes.
They're commons, but they're limited. There's 1 of each of these, and there's a few, and that's because the Filth take the commons and from them explode these limited ones that are sort of like a mutated character with something more specific about them. And I really like that because that means you have a bunch of different characters on the board. Like it's almost like having, instead of 3 champions or whatever, having 7 champions, 8 champions.
Yeah. To that end, I should mention that with both factions here, I think for the complexity, I would never play these with people who've never played Summoner Wars before. Yeah. They're both fairly complex. What you just said about the Filth, all that, I mean, all their cultists are terrible for the most part.
Yeah.
They're mostly there to be turned into mutants.
Yeah.
And the Chosen Grove revolves so much around that kind of knowing that your main guy can't move, but he's going to eventually move, but don't bring your deck out on purpose also.
Yeah, it's an interesting deck. It sort of has it's all about the cadence of the deck, right? It has a lot of boosting. It has a lot of protecting your main summoner, who is a tree and stuck on the ground. Every now and then the tree, if somebody's next to them, they can be like, ah, and like kill somebody next to them, or move a little bit, and hurt themselves. But their health is like 20. So you have to just kind of outlast the other player, and at the end, near the end of the game, then, boom, you kind of come alive and you can uproot yourself. And it's a weird deck. They're both kind of weird ideas.
And even I was saying, I said in that one, I feel like that card you need to tell your opponents you have it, in case they've never played this before. I can just kill someone next to me.
Yeah.
The Filth is a little weird because my favorite card in this deck by a mile is that Abomination.
The Abomination takes over and sort of accrues powers, right?
So once he exists, the whole deck basically is revolving around him.
Kind of, yeah.
And if you don't draw him to the end, not as good. So I think both of these decks, they have the opportunity to both be amazing, but they're also both a little fragile. If the right stuff doesn't come out at the right time, you draw some mutants at the beginning, but you didn't draw any cultists for them to come out of.
Sure.
This one here, the tree doesn't get moving. You need to get you're moving around the boost tokens too with the trees. So it's interesting. I think these are 2 decks that, and I don't deck build all over the place in this, but I wouldn't deck build with them much. Like the Filth, I wouldn't deck build with them at all. It would feel weird to have other cards in there.
They're very sort of tied to each other. You can't mess with that formula too much. I agree with that. The other one I could see breaking up a little bit more. You have some characters that do neat stuff. Like there's one
it's true.
that
You get
hits
some boosters
and then
in there.
jumps back next to to sort of like run forward
he's
and
actually
smack and run back.
He's my least favorite unit in there because he's so fragile.
Mm-hmm.
He's a little expensive for how fragile he is. What he does is cool, but man, you make one wrong move, he's dead.
Right.
Which is a lot of things. He's a little glass cannon to shoot out there. But he feels the one thing that's slightly off in his deck, so you're right. I might replace him with another card, maybe. But I like these both a lot. They're both... Yeah. I always joke when we talk about it, it's like, the Filth. But it is fun, the mutations, they're fun. And it's not as gross as it sounds. I mean, okay, it doesn't look as gross as it sounds for the most part. They're a little gross.
The artwork is sort of cartoony, as it has been in second edition, They were a little bit more disgusting in the first edition of Summoner Wars, honestly. But now they're sort of like, blood magic. They remind me in look a little bit of like the Crimson Order, the vampiric guys. So they look a little bit like that, dark and bloody and ooey. But I do like the way they play very, very much. And again, like I said, it reminds me of like when Magic the Gathering had that mechanism where you could put a card into play face down. And they were like a 2/2 or something lame, and then you could pay to upgrade them. Boom, and then you actually reveal it, and now that's what it actually was hiding there.
Oh, I do like that sort of thing, yeah.
So it kind of feels like that. It's like, here's a crappy mutant. They're going to kind of, move around this and that. Psych, they were actually this thing the whole time, and that thing comes out, and now it's a problem.
Sure, when you're fighting them, you're like, kill them all. I don't care how little they look.
Yeah, and they're cheap. They're incredibly cheap. They're like free, many of the comments.
All the cultists are zero,
yeah,
I think.
So I really like the way that feels. It feels like a bunch of little guys. The other deck I also enjoy, but I think I like playing against it more because it feels like I'm attacking a tower a little bit.
Yeah.
It's like it almost feels not solo, but it has that feeling of like, okay, how do I attack this central building is the emotion it gives me.
Yeah, I like them both. I would agree. I like the Filth a little bit better. I would give the Chosen Grove an 8 and the Filth a 9. I like them a lot.
Well, that is exactly what I wrote down, Dom.
Oh.
The Chosen Grove an 8 and the Filth a 9 for me as well. So we're actually giving them same scores, and I have proof. I wrote it down.
Oh, how do you know I didn't read over your shoulder? I don't know. I can't read that.
You don't have proof, do you?
I can't read. All right, folks, there you go. It's the 2 newest updates. These are the last ones that are going to fit in that box. So have fun trying to fit the new ones in. I'm Tom Vassell.
I'm Z Garcia.
We'll see you next time, you filthy animal. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you like this review or whatever you just watched, wasn't it amazing? Check out our channel, Dice Tower. We have all kinds of things. We review games, we do top 10s, we play games live. It's all about board games, but especially the people who play them. Check out Dice Tower YouTube channel.